the idea, though, can be described in one paragraph and will be by short reviews of it. And the idea is that in a town called Chester's Mill in Maine, all of a sudden a dome descends on the town, and then the town becomes a kind of microcosm. But there are many ways you could have done that. The execution of this is particularly interesting because you don't have a paragraph where you sit and explain exactly what has happened, ever. Can you describe the way you start, the way you get across knowledge of the dome? What's the first thing you convey?
Well, the first thing that happens is a woodchuck falls in half. We set up the scene where there are three things going on simultaneously, and this is almost verbatim from the first draft of the book, the first try at the book in 1976. I lost that manuscript. And by the way, I just want to say one thing. I started this in 1976, gave up, tried again in 1979, gave up, finally, broke my brains and wrote this thing in 2 years, and I gave it to my sister-in-law. She said, "Oh, it's like the Simpsons movie." And I'm like that. Don't tell me that, because I never saw the Simpsons movie. If I had, I would have had somebody shout it out, because somebody in town should have seen it. So at the beginning of the book, you have a woodchuck that's headed for the landfill. You have a character who's planning to leave town, who's not able to. He's the main character, Dale Barbara, who's the short order cook. And for various reasons that have to do with the story, it seems wise to him to leave town. And the third thing you have is a plane flying overhead where the local pilot is giving a flying lesson to the first selectman's wife. And the dome comes down, and the woodchuck falls in half, and the plane crashes into it at the same time. And the poor guy's on the road. He's being doused by body parts and engine parts. And it's a Stephen King moment.
So that's a way of conveying that there's some obstacle that's appeared.
Right.
But that we don't know what it is. We don't know what shape it is. We don't know whether it's porous. We don't know what effects it's going to have. Can you talk a little about some other ways in which you get across some of those details?
Well, one of the things that happens when you've been at the job for a while is that you get smart about readers and what readers will know. And I have a lot less of a tendency to fool myself about how smart readers are and how far they can think ahead. And the trick is to use that for your own dirty purposes when you're writing. So the first thing that you come across is the title of the book is Under the Dome. So you know it's going to be a dome that they're under, but it's really not. It's really not a dome. It's like a three-dimensional sock because it follows all the borders of the town, which has this vaguely sock-like shape, and it also goes down below the ground, so it's also sort of like a contact capsule.
But how do they find out how high it is?
Well, the Air Force shoots dummy missiles at it. They fly planes toward it, and the missiles bounce off at 25,000 feet and at 35,000 feet, 45,000 feet, and at 47,300 feet, zip right through, so they know that that's the top of it. I wanted it high enough so that weather could develop under there if the story went in that direction, but as it turned out, the time span was shorter than I thought it would be when I started the book. I don't have any particular plan. John Irving is a good acquaintance of mine, and I've been on stage with him before where he'll say, "I always know how a book ends." And I always think, Jesus, why do you want to write a book if you know how it's going to come out?
Did you know what the dome was when you started writing about it?
Not exactly. No. I had some ideas, and I knew where the ballpark was. I knew the area. And little by little, it's almost as though as the story goes along, there's only one place it can go. I don't know where that is, but the options fall away. It's not like if you start from New York City and you're going to Podunk, Iowa, your choice of roads is infinite to start with. But the closer you get, the less roads there are until finally there's only one that'll take you there.